Hey everyone, welcome back to the layout once again. I've got a quick update for you. As you can see, looking down on this end of the layout, which is obviously the upper level, this is Crawford Hill, and we are looking into the upper horseshoe curve. But as you can see, I have done a bit of scenery work, so I'm just going to really quick run through, update you on what's different from last time, and then if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll get a little treat. I'm going to run the train you see at the top of the grade through some of the existing scenery as well as the new scenery here, which will be just a little preview of what things might look like in a month or two. Because I'm actually really trying to push, getting the scenery, at least a base level of scenery in place by Christmas. I'm going to have some people at the house, some family, and they're always interested in what's going on, but I always feel like I disappoint them because it never looks different from the last time they saw it. So I'm kind of on a roll here doing a bit of scenery, and if we turn to the right, you'll see I've added some static grass on these two berms here. This is supposed to be a little cutout where the original track alignment would have gone. The Burlington Northern sort of reprofiled the grade up here, so I'm pretending like this was the original alignment. That'll eventually be a dirt road. I still have to add a bunch of details in there, but you can see some of the rock outcroppings. The static grass is really quite patchy, as you can see. Some of that is deliberate, like right here. You can see some of that sandstone coming through because of the erosion. The grass doesn't grow very well there, so that's what I'm trying to model. Other places I might go back in and add a bit more. I don't want it to look too patchy because actually in Nebraska, especially along Crawford Hill, the grass is usually, although dry, pretty hardy, and it fills in, so it's usually not too tufty, if that makes sense. But regardless, I do have quite a few tufts here, so you can zoom in, you can see those there. I tried to go for sort of a greener color down along the bottom edge to simulate those being weeds that, despite maintenance of way's best efforts, continue to encroach on their right-of-way access. So that's looking good. Other thing you'll notice is I have the rails painted. I finally decided that I just need to do it this way. As much as I hate to cut masking tape for hours on end, masking off the rails and then airbrushing them is definitely the best way. There is no fun way to do it, I've found, because hand painting them with a tiny paintbrush is worse and takes forever and does not look as good. So these, I think, look pretty good. I don't do anything special. I don't have a particular color from a manufacturer or anything. I just mix up acrylic paint to a grayish brown color that I think looks good for frequently used welded rail, and I think the color I have here looks pretty good. So moving down this way, more grass. I think the grass does a really good job of framing the rock cuts. This is a more natural looking rock cut. In other places they're definitely more manicured, but for those of you who aren't familiar with Crawford Hill, this probably doesn't look like anything special, but I'm really happy with the way this is looking, that sort of white clay sandstone coming through. Things are definitely starting to come together, and luckily the modeling actually matches my imagination, so I'm really excited to continue along with this work. Again, moving this way, more grass. You can see how patchy that is. I think I want to come back in and fill a lot of that in. I left some of it very patchy on purpose because I actually do want to come back in with a just very slightly different color of grass, and I think when you have sort of this crisscross crosshatch pattern of grass, it looks very natural. So I do it in two applications, and then you get sort of a cool variation of colors that doesn't look too manicured or too artificial. So yeah, that's sort of my idea there. You'll obviously see there's no scenery up there because this whole area is unfinished. I still don't know if I'm doing a tunnel portal here or if it's going to be sort of a snow shed. I know there are no snow sheds on Crawford Hill. There are also no active tunnels on Crawford Hill, but I'm going to have to hide that hole one way or another. The one thing I don't like here is that this track is just like unrealistically close to the edge of this rock cut. That was just something that had to be done. If I had to design the layout again, I'd find a way around it, but this is just how it wound up. So the problem is, if I do a traditional tunnel portal, it has to be further back so it can actually fit. I'll have a wing wall coming off one side of the portal coming out this way along the backdrop. We'll have some rock cuts out here, and then another wing wall going out that way into sort of this ledge area. However, I have considered doing a snow shed, because those are usually sort of artificial structures. Not that a tunnel portal isn't, but they're not built in the same way. They can be sort of thin concrete, and they're built in sort of just a square fashion, at least sort of like the way the UP does them along Donner Pass. And the reason I've considered that is this curve it's not super tight. It's a 26-inch radius, so it is tight, but it meets my minimum, I guess, is what I'm saying. So it's not too tight, but it does not look good if we're looking from the other aisle. So right now I'm standing in one aisle. You will also be able to view this scene from the other aisle there, and if this train were to continue this way, there is a tangent section of track right here so that things can straighten out before they swing the other way, but there's no easement curve, so they just sort of abruptly turn into this. And I'm thinking if I bring a structure that hides this further out, it won't look so jarring to the eye to see longer rail cars and locomotives swing around that curve. Again, the problem is if I bring something further out to hide that, it's got to be a very thin-walled structure that can fit on this ledge, and if I do that, it's going to have to be a snow shed or something of that sort that's very square and angular. If I want to do a traditional, perhaps better looking tunnel portal, it's got to be further back, and then I'm just going to have to deal with the look of the cars and locomotives swinging around the curve. So that's sort of a side note. I got distracted, but I bring it up because if you guys have thoughts, I would love for you to share. Okay, so still moving on. You'll see up here, sort of got a different colored dirt going along the rails there. If you look at photos of the actual upper horseshoe curve of Crawford Hill, for whatever reason, just in this portion of the hill, the access road is very brown. So I just did the dirt like normal, and then I went in with weathering powders and tried to change the color of the dirt. And honestly, I think it turned out pretty good. I really like the way that the tire tracks came out in the ballast here as well, simulating that the road continues off the scene here. Alright, so turning left still, getting to the good stuff now. More grass, nothing special, but this I just did about an hour ago. I added some trees in here, and now this scene is really starting to take shape. It looks good from afar, looks good close up, and I really like this perspective right here because I actually have a photo from my trip in 2014 just from, you know, right about this spot. So I'll try to include that in the video here so you can see the similarities. I think I've got the color of the vegetation pretty close. Obviously there are a lot of inaccuracies, especially regarding the spacing, as well as the fact that there's not a track above these tracks like you see in the background. That's just unique to my layout. But still, the scene's coming together, and I think I'm capturing the look of Crawford Hill, at least from when I was there, fairly decently. So I'm excited about that. I should let you guys know too that the trees here are supposed to be ponderosa pines, just like you see all over Crawford Hill. They are Scenic Express Super Trees armatures, and then I cover them in static grass. So I spray paint them first in sort of a brown color. I then dust them again with the different spray paint that's sort of a gray, a lighter gray color, and then spray adhesive, and then I add some static grass. These are 2mm, sort of like forest green fibers, I don't remember from whom, and then I also sprinkle in a few Woodland Scenics 1 to 3mm light green fibers just to give the coloration a bit of texture. So I think that's looking pretty good. Very happy with the way this scene is turning out. And then coming this way, it gets less interesting because I don't have any grass here. The reason being I haven't finished painting the rails here. I like to have the rails painted before I do the static grass. If I were smart, I would do it before the dirt as well, so the dirt doesn't blow around, but it's all glued down, so it won't do anything but cause a bit of dust. But I show this to you because I don't think I had these painted last time, so these rock cuts are now painted. In fact, I didn't have any of this dirt here last time either, but you can see I do have the access road simulated to the side of the tracks. I got some ballast that's sort of fallen down on this shoulder right here as well, so that looks pretty cool. And then coming this way, I don't remember. I should always check my last layout update, but I don't. But this used to be the reverse loop. There was a tunnel here, as you guys know. I have since filled this in, so I sort of like tore it open, and I think that's where we were last at in the last update. So this rock cut has now filled in that space. I've also extended this rock cut, so now it looks very natural. I have the scenery base over the top of it. The rock cuts are painted, and again, all I'm waiting for is to paint the rails, and then I'll come in with the dirt, grass, trees, all that. And before we go to the other side of the backdrop really quick, actually, never mind. I have no reason to go to the other side of the backdrop. I've already done multiple takes of this video trying to shorten it, so this time I'm actually going to upload. But originally I explained the tunnel portal on the other side, but just go to my last layout update that actually explains what's going on with the other side of the tunnel, because I'm actually keeping that side. Well, anyway, that's all I have. So the Scatterbrain Sunday night version of me is going to sign off before I start to make absolutely no sense. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, of course, leave those below. Again, stick around just for a couple seconds and you'll get to see a train rolling through these scenes. There's still tons to add. I need to go back in, add grass tufts, things like that, just to add a bit of variation. Obviously that corner is not even close to finish, so lots of trees, lots of grass yet to come, and obviously ballast details, things like that. But I'm really excited because this does give you a good indication of the way things will look. I finally have sort of a good scenery method under my belt that I'll continue to use on the rest of the layout. So, as always, thank you so much for watching, stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time.